Imagine a quiet moment in the markets where a single number can change the course of fortunes, a number like $99. Right now, 5 of the world's biggest banks have just doubled their silver short positions at this exact price. $2.3 trillion on the line. And the truth is, most people have no idea what's happening. But you're about to. Because this isn't just about silver. It's about understanding opportunity, timing, and your own financial destiny. I remember the first time I realized the power of silver. I was sitting across from an investor who had quietly transformed a modest savings into a life of freedom, simply by seeing value where others saw risk. He said something that stuck with me. Silver doesn't just shine, it tells a story of patience, courage, and strategy. And that's the mindset we need today. Not fear, not hesitation, but clarity, action, and the willingness to see beyond the noise. Here's the first truth. When the big banks are doubling down, it's not a signal to panic. It's a signal to prepare. Every major investor knows that silver is more than a metal. It's a hedge, a shield, and a lever for growth. Think of it as planting a tree today, knowing it will shelter you tomorrow. People like Jim Rogers and Eric Sprott didn't stumble into wealth. They recognized patterns, acted decisively, and let time magnify their decisions. You can do the same. Second, mindset is your most powerful asset. Wealth isn't built by reacting. It's built by understanding cycles, controlling emotions, and being willing to take calculated risks. If you wait for certainty, opportunity has already passed. But if you embrace disciplined action, even a small position today can become the cornerstone of financial freedom. Picture a silver coin in your hand, not as a piece of metal, but as a symbol of patience, strategy, and the life you're building. Third, this is a moment to align habits with vision. Regular accumulation, studying market trends, and knowing when to hold firm versus when to pivot. These are the choices that separate dreamers from achievers. Entrepreneurs who leveraged precious metals didn't just buy. They learned, they strategized, and they adapted. And you can too. Micro decisions today compound into extraordinary results tomorrow. Finally, take action with confidence. Decide your approach, understand your limits, but don't let hesitation rob you of possibility. Whether it's a small stack each month or a strategic position during market dips, these actions are investments in more than silver. They're investments in your freedom, your options, your life story. So pause, breathe, and realize what's in front of you. $2.3 trillion doesn't move without reason. 5 banks doubling their positions at $99 isn't noise. It's a lesson. The lesson is that opportunity favors those who prepare, who learn, and who act with courage. Your future isn't written by chance. It's written by the decisions you make today. Now is the time to think, to act, to stack strategically, and to let silver work for you, quietly, powerfully, and relentlessly. If you take one thing from this, let it be this. Don't watch history pass you by. Be the person who positions themselves to benefit from it. Because wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom, choice, and building a life on your own terms. Like this insight, share it, subscribe for more. And remember, every coin, every ounce, every decision is a step toward a future you control. Don't wait, start today. Imagine a moment in the market so quiet, so precise that a single number can change the course of fortunes. That number today is 99, and 5 of the world's largest banks have just doubled their silver short positions at this exact price. $2.3 trillion are on the line, and most people don't even realize it. But you can. Because understanding this moment isn't about panic. It's about clarity. It's about seeing the rare opportunity that others overlook. The hidden doorway into potential wealth that only reveals itself to those paying attention. This isn't just silver. This is timing. This is strategy. This is knowing when to act and when to prepare. Think of silver as more than a commodity. It's a story told over centuries, a marker of patience and foresight. The people who succeed in markets like this aren't guessing. They are observing, analyzing, and positioning themselves wisely. They understand the dance between fear and opportunity. When the big players double down, they don't do it blindly. There is intent. There is leverage. There is the silent knowledge that moves like this rarely happen twice in a lifetime. And when you recognize these moments, when you understand the forces at play, you gain an edge that can shape your entire financial future. This is why paying attention to patterns, cycles, and the strategies of those who came before you matters. Jim Rogers didn't stumble upon success. Eric Sprott didn't randomly acquire wealth. They studied, they calculated, and they acted with discipline when the conditions were right. That same mindset, the ability to read the signs, to distinguish noise from signal, to move with purpose, is what separates someone who reacts in fear from someone who builds wealth steadily and decisively. Silver in this context becomes not just a metal, but a tool, a lever, a tangible representation of strategy, patience, and vision. Recognizing the significance of this moment requires a willingness to see beyond headlines and hype. It's about understanding the underlying forces, the silent moves, the decisions that few notice, but that shape the direction of trillions. It's about aligning perspective with action, seeing the rare alignment, where opportunity meets preparation, and stepping forward with confidence and discipline in a way that positions you ahead of the majority. I remember the first time I truly grasped the power of silver. I was sitting across from an investor who had quietly transformed a modest savings into a life of freedom simply by seeing value where others saw risk. He didn't make flashy moves or chase trends. He made deliberate, informed decisions that compounded over time. He leaned back, looked me in the eye, and said, "Silver doesn't just shine. It tells a story of patience, courage, and strategy." Those words stayed with me, not because they were dramatic, but because they revealed a mindset that too few people embrace. The power of silver is not just in its price or its scarcity, but in the way it shapes your approach to life and wealth. Every coin, every ounce becomes a lesson in discipline, in waiting, in understanding cycles that most people ignore. It's about seeing beyond the immediate headlines, beyond the fear and noise, and recognizing the patterns that define real opportunity. Building wealth with silver requires more than money. It requires mindset. You have to be willing to act while others hesitate, to trust knowledge over emotion, to embrace patience while others chase instant gratification. Each step taken with foresight compounds, creating a foundation not just for wealth, but for financial freedom, independence, and control over your own destiny. When the big banks are doubling down, it's not a signal to panic. It's a signal to prepare. Every major investor understands that silver is more than just a metal. It's a hedge, a shield, and a lever for growth. Think of it as planting a tree today, knowing that years from now it will provide shelter, shade, and fruit. Those who recognize opportunity see beyond the current price. They see potential, strategy, and timing. Look at investors like Jim Rogers or Eric Sprott. Their success wasn't accidental. It came from observing markets, understanding cycles, and acting decisively when others hesitated. The same principle applies to anyone willing to approach silver with patience and strategy. It's about positioning yourself ahead of the crowd, taking calculated steps, and letting time and compounding do the heavy lifting. Each ounce, each investment becomes a building block toward long-term financial stability and freedom.